From games that might summon evil entities to unbelievable internet challenges,
here are 10 horrifying games you don't want to play.
Number 10. The Choking Game. The choking game is rather simple, but it's definitely a game you don't want to lose. Winners might get the chance to feel euphoria and some acceptance from their peers. That is, if they come out alive. You might have played a variant of this game when you were at a pool and not even realized it. You ever challenge your friend to see who could keep their breath underwater longer? In this case, you're basically drowning yourself instead of choking yourself, but it equates to a similar result. It's recommended that you don't do this in order to avoid shallow water blackout. What really triggers it is not a lack of oxygen, but an elevation of carbon dioxide that's wanting to leave the body. A lot of the time, it's directly caused from hyperventilating, ignoring your urge to breathe, breath-holding games, and repetitive laps without breathing. Most of the time, however, the fatalities have been a result of strangulation, which results in less blood flow from the neck to the head. This is most commonly played by kids between the ages of 6 to 19, where at least 82 deaths have occurred since 1995. Kids who are playing this game might show marks on their neck, bloodshot eyes, and can become disoriented very easily. Number 9. CSI Fingerprint Examination Kit. Little kids growing up who want to be cops or detectives might have asked their parents to get them this kit. If you did play this game when you were little, it's very possible that you were exposed to asbestos. The crime drama CSI was all the rage at the time, and the kit actually contained dust for kids to search fingerprints with. Little did they know, the dust was actually teeming with asbestos, a deadly substance capable of causing mesothelioma and other lung complications. The fine powder also contained the most dangerous form of asbestos called tremolite. There was plenty of it to cause cancer later on in life. This obviously called for a nationwide recall on the toy, and you gotta wonder how many kids must have breathed in this toxic material during the 20 months it was on shelves. Number 8. The Fire Challenge. Normal board games too boring for you? And you're thinking about doing something a little bit more heated up, you could say? What if you try the Fire Challenge? Or don't and just say you did. This game normally involves some rubbing alcohol or nail polish remover, some matches, and a person willing to temporarily light themselves on fire. Playing with fire is never recommended, and fire departments, as well as parents, have openly warned people about this game. The strange game became popular on YouTube, where people would post videos of themselves lighting themselves on fire, then putting it out. YouTube has some weird trends out there, but this one takes the cake. What adds to the danger is that many people start running out of panic, which adds more oxygen to the flames. Then on top of it, the participant in this game will often be inhaling toxic fumes from the burning accelerant. One case in Kentucky resulted in pretty bad burns, and he described the pain as being unbearable. Some put on too much lighter fluid, and their hair catches on fire. Many have ended up in emergency rooms, and the videos on YouTube don't often show the aftermath or burns, so don't try this. Number 7. Ouija Boards. Unless you really want to invite harmful spirits into your life, you should probably never use a Ouija board. The Ouija board is considered to be a portal that spirits can travel through, and even right into your own home. Kids who use these might get caught trespassing into cemeteries or abandoned buildings in order to communicate with the dead or other things. People trying to communicate with ghosts might not get exactly what they're targeting. Some might confuse cases of haunting with actual cases of demonic possession, and demons are much worse. If you end up summoning a demon, you should consider taking a bath in holy water immediately. They're much more difficult to get rid of, and your soul will turn to pure evil. In other cases, you might summon a poltergeist, which isn't quite as bad, but you better get used to picking up objects off the floor. In many cases, some people have ended up in mental institutions or have been locked up in straitjackets in one of those padded rooms. People will probably think you're crazy, and you don't want to reinforce negative energy to a specific location. The only way to properly dispose of spirits that have haunted you from Ouija boards is to break the Ouija board into 7 pieces, soak it in holy water, and then bury it. Number 6. Car surfing. There are a few types of car surfing out there, but each one is pretty dangerous, and you shouldn't play this game because someone might get hurt. Car surfing began in the 1980s, which was traditionally someone standing on top of the car while someone was driving. Almost like they were surfing a gnarly wave like we see in this photo. Wipeouts of this form of surfing only involve you getting a taste of stone-cold asphalt or meeting the Grim Reaper. Sometimes people will make it into a competition and see who can stay on top of the car longer. Other forms of car surfing include people getting a skateboard and holding onto the rear bumper while the car drives. Not only does falling become a serious risk, but also the risk of getting ran over is increased. If the car hits the brakes, it's easy to imagine someone falling off the car or the person skateboarding continues to ride forward. If the car hits its brakes, it's easy to imagine someone flying off the car. A statistic reported that 50% of injuries from this game were actually fatal. Number 5. The Cinnamon Challenge. Another game here that seems innocent enough is actually much worse than it seems, and in some cases can actually be terrifying to witness. We all put cinnamon on some of our favorite desserts and whatnot, but this is entirely different. Participants in the Cinnamon Challenge attempt to swallow a spoonful of cinnamon, which they find out is actually impossible to do, especially if it's pure cinnamon. Some people might offer you $100 if you can pull it off, but there's a reason why they're willing to give you so much for a simple stunt. The cinnamon induces a gag reflex in the back of the throat, and they'll end up choking, inhaling, or coughing it up. And if they do manage to get some in their stomach, which they probably won't, that much cinnamon can irritate tissue. Cinnamon is dried tree bark, and it works like formaldehyde in a way, binding and fixing human tissue. Others have reported severe asthma attacks and uncontrollable spasms in the throat. Humans can obtain trace amounts of cinnamon in their lungs even a month after attempting this. Some even compare cinnamon to coal dust if it gets inhaled, so it really doesn't seem like it would be worth the $100 even if you're able to pull it off. Number 4. Russian Roulette. Now here's a game you should really never consider playing. Some believe that Russian Roulette was a game played by Russian soldiers sometime in the 19th century after the invention of the revolver. It involves a group of mentally unstable people, a revolver, one bullet, and possibly some vodka. The rules of the game are quite simple. Place one bullet into the chamber of the revolver, spin the cylinder, put the muzzle to your head, and pull the trigger. The player has a 16.67 chance of firing a bullet. Players are not risking money in this game of roulette, only their lives. Normally, people don't volunteer to play this, but are forced to do so by cruel captors. However, there have been a few cases of suicidal people with the urge to take a spin. It was actually featured in the film Deer Hunter in 1978, and not long after, it was replicated by some teenagers. Even as recently as 2014, a Florida teenager fell victim to the deadly game, which has no going back. Number 3. Blue Parties. So this is also like Russian Roulette, but at the same time, a lot more provocative. It's unclear whether or not this is just a bizarre urban legend or a real occurrence happening in Europe. Also known as orgy roulette, during masquerade parties, one person is invited to the orgy who knowingly has an STD. The person remains anonymous, but the people at the party actually know there's one person who might be toxic. Escort girls across Eastern Europe and in Barcelona, Spain, have made shocking revelations that would make you assume this actually happens. Some call it Slovenian sex roulette, where even the rich and famous are participating in it. It apparently gives them a kind of thrill that nothing else can fulfill. At least with Russian Roulette, the end is quick and painless. This can be quite slow and grueling, which makes it a game you really shouldn't play. Don't get lured into the thrill because it can turn out to be deadly. Number 2. Blue Whale. Here's where it starts getting a little bit more crazy. A new game emerged on social media, which sounds harmless at first, but then it gets a whole lot scarier. This appears to be an international game that has its origins in Russia. The game starts off seemingly innocent enough, and the participant has to follow a set of commands which are given by phone calls or instant messages. Things start off simple, like watching a specific scary movie or staying up all night. But then things start to turn dark. Normally, the person who makes the commands is someone trying to prey upon self-conscious teenage girls. They begin to psychologically control the person to the point where they make them inflict harm upon themselves. A former psychology student from St. Petersburg, Russia, started this whole game to see how far he could push it. Many people listened to him. Also known as the administrator, he would assign a total of 50 tasks to be completed, with the final task being suicide. There are over 150 cases of this final task being completed that Russian officials believe to be linked to the administrator, also known as Philip Buttlekin. Other people have been trying to copycat this game in many different countries in nearly every continent. Number 1. One-man hide-and-go-seek. According to Creepypasta, this ritual or game you could call it is another way to contact the dead and get them to play with you. There are many spirits out there who are looking for something to possess. This allows a ghost to possess a doll instead of a human body. First, you grab the doll, which must have limbs. Then, you stuff it full of rice. Get 1 needle and 1 crimson thread. Grab a pair of nail clippers and study the rules to this game, and soon you'll have someone to play hide and go seek with.